And welcome to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast. My name is Jesse, and I'll be your host. So on today's episode, we're going to head over to Bryersville to go drive a garbage truck, I guess. And then also we're going to try to fight these trolls that have somehow taken over Halloween, I guess. But then we're also going to go visit Eartha Kitt in her weird, cool house. As we're going to do all that, we are going to be covering today 1991's Ernest Scared Stupid. For this episode, I could not do it alone because, fun little fact, I didn't even know what Ernest was until very recently. And so I decided to bring someone on who I've become friendly with during this whole journey of doing the podcast, and has been a very a supporter of mine, and I've been a supporter of theirs for a long time. So you know him from his wonderful podcast with his co-hosts Katie and Kitt. But welcome to the podcast, Nathan Sizemore from I Hope You Suffer. Hey, Nathan.
Hey, thanks for having me. Always down to discuss Ernest.
Yes, always. Do you go by Nate at all, or is it always Nathan?
Any of it's fine. It's
any of it's
people
fine.
Call me any variation of it. So
yeah, call me he, call me she, call me Regis Catholic, just call me. Kind of a thing. That's fair. Anyway, but yeah, no, I started listening to your podcast. I mean, really, I guess after Girl That's Scary was on, because I love them so much.
Oh, yeah, the best.
Oh, they're so cool. And shout out Cat and Jazz, love you guys. But anyway, I want them to come back on your show so bad, but we'll see how it happens.
It'll happen eventually.
It'll happen. Right. Because you've been on theirs a couple times. I loved listening to you guys do the Fulci films. Hilarious, really funny. It's very good. So I think that's how I became sort of familiar. And then I've listened to your show tangentially. I listened to your episode on this movie, so we'll not just rehash everything about it, but I just like how you guys just cover trash ass movies. I love that. Good.
Yeah, our podcast is very much, I feel, like a skip around unless you actively have no interest in watching the movies. Because I don't recommend watching 80% of the movies we've covered.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of people aren't. So I know a lot of people that are like, yeah, I've listened to most of the episodes, but I skipped Ant Farm Dickhole because I'm never watching that. And I'm like, yeah, I don't blame you.
Completely. I understand. And then also it's not that you will do this, but you're not doing the fucking vomit splatter dolls or whatever, or that kind of shit. No, although who knows?
We very much all three pick movies in different styles where Katie's like, ooh, I found this movie on Tubi, and I'm like, well, this is gonna be a garbage ghost movie that no one likes. Or I very much am like, this has a real stupid title, like Toilet of the Dead Zombie, or zombie ass Toilet of the Dead.
Yeah.
And then Kitt is just like, I don't know, Street Trash is a banger. We'll watch that. So
sure, exactly. Right. No, I mean, I'm surprised that Katie has not brought you guys the wonder and the joy that is Spice World. I'm surprised by that, but I don't
know if Katie
who knows
is a fan of Spice World or not. I've seen it. I have it on VHS.
Hell yeah.
So
I have it on DVD. Hell yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's just oh my God. But I will definitely come on your show for sure. But that's what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about a man named Ernest and how he got scared. Okay. That's what we're here for. But I mean, my history, we'll get into yours in a moment, because again, you are our Ernest P. Worrell expert, pretty much, that I know of. But I mean, my history with this is I'm horrible. I hardly even knew who Jim Varney was for a while. Okay. I was like, who is this guy? What? But then I found out he did Slinky Dog in the Toy Story movies and all that. But this is what his kind of bread and butter was, really. This is what he was very known for. And so this is my first Ernest movie. I mean, because the other ones are some garbage and some fun. I don't know. We'll see. But
I highly recommend this one for sure, especially for horror people, because it's for me, it's my favorite. I think Goes to Jail's a better movie.
Sure.
But I think this is definitely my favorite. And I think this is the one that I always recommend people start with. But Goes to Camp, Saves Christmas, Goes to Jail, and Scared Stupid are the golden era when they were on doing Touchstone films through Disney. And then it once Disney drops them after Scared Stupid fails at the box office,
right,
that's when you get into sort of the trash versions of it, which I like all of. I actually think Slam Dunk Ernest is kind of great, but once you get into like joins the army and goes to Africa, you're in like real sketchy territory.
Yeah, bad, horrible. It's like, but I mean, it's to be expected with some of that stuff. And, it is this weird moment in time where it's like, yeah, this character like was backed by Disney for a while. He's a Disney princess, damn it. I'm so happy for him.
It's literally like there's a like 30 to 40 minute like TV special they did called Ernest Goes to Splash Mountain.
Oh my God, yes.
At some point they like revamped Space or not Space Mountain, Splash Mountain.
Splash Mountain, yeah.
They did like this big special where like Ernest is like the first person that's gonna ride it or whatever.
Yes.
And he's like doing like training montages and shit to like ride Splash Mountain. It's very stupid.
Oh, I love it. And they take it so seriously. Yeah. The YouTube channel Movie Bitches, they just talked about this movie too. And they totally mentioned that because I think the one chick on there, Avril, she's I think around your age-ish, like early 80s baby. So like, would have grown up like with Ernest a little bit, as opposed to me. I don't think I grew up with it. So I was like, wait, what the hell?
Yeah. I'm always curious if like Ernest is a character like I was born as Ernest was like taking off, so I was the prime age that like the time his TV show It's Ernest, Hey Vern, It's Ernest like popped up, it was like prime for me,
right? Exactly.
And so like I'm always curious if Ernest is a character at all works for generations slightly younger than me, because it feels like a very much if you weren't like that 5 to maybe like 12 age during the late 80s or early 90s, like I feel like it's the thing that just passes you by. And I just like I'm always curious if like I want to like talk to like a 20-year-old and be like, watch like Ernest Goes to Camp and tell me if this is good or not.
Yeah, Gen Z or something, right? Yeah. Well, it's something like, obviously rest in peace Pee Wee Herman, but he was kind of like the prototypical person with like him and Ernest live on the same street, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Like
there's a lot of similarities.
A lot of similarities, but both very talented people and everything. But anyway, there's that. But like this would be like if someone like I think a lot of people like my age, like they remember like Pappy from Pappy Land, but like someone like your age, I don't know if you remember that shit. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
I have no idea what that is.
So okay, so little history. Pappy from Pappy Land. There was a show on TLC called Pappy Land where it was this old man who like would draw or paint or something like that, and he like looked like an old ass man pretty much. But he wasn't creepy or anything. It was just like this random ass thing that you would like see on TLC, right? I'm about to look this shit up. Wait a minute. So I don't think
TLC hit my because it was like the learning channel, the actual learning channel when I was a kid.
Before it became the reality.
Oh yeah, before it became the greatest channel of all time because the 90 Day Fiance.
Oh my God, I hate you so much. But anyway, it's fine. No, but Pappy, he was like, it was like Pappy drew it, like, he like drew stuff. It was kind of like,
was it like a kid's TV show version of like Bob Ross?
Kind of, sort of, actually. It's a great way to say it. So it's a half-hour children's television program written by a guy named John Napa. He wrote the Logbooks of Admiral Jake book, and he did like a bunch of these things. He introduced this character called Doodlebug. What else was this? And he originally broadcast it out of Syracuse, New York, and other PBS shows or PBS channels. It started being on TLC. Half of it's done in blue screen, so it's sort of like kind of a weird like pre Blue's Clues kind of a little bit, but not in that same way. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, like he would like dance and sing, taught life lessons and shit. Oh my God, look up Happy Land, everybody. Like, because I think it's on Roku now too as well. But someone like me who I would have grown up with that, but you were probably a little older of like, what the fuck is this? Or I mean, yeah, that kind of thing is kind of like a weird thing. But then obviously something like Magic School Bus is like not just for 90s kids. It's like you would have at least known what it was. You maybe not watched it.
I guess to like set it in time, I had like just gotten out of like the age of some of that stuff as like Varney took off and like Power Rangers really hit the air over here.
Completely.
And, like, but like my sister is 2 years younger than me, so I have like a knowledge of that kind of stuff only because she watched it. But like at that point I had moved on to
Yeah.
like, you know, Batman the animated series and like the
Hell
X-Men
yeah.
animated series and that kind of shit. And so
Yeah.
like I
Totally.
think like SpongeBob was like really had like just started airing as like I'm getting into like junior high or high school,
Yeah.
I think. So
Totally. No, I mean, yeah, and this is just us like reminiscing and talking. But like no, it's no, but it's true. Like, you know, it's these weird things. But like you were saying, Ernest is something where you seem to at least grow up with it and you liked it for some reason, and we can get into that. But yeah, no, just like blocking those weird and random memories or whatever. But I guess like just to sum it up, like what is it about this character that you enjoy so much where you really do like all these movies? Like you are a fan of this character and you know you'd want to come on and talk about this because I browbeat you to do it. So it's fine.
oh, you trust me. Like I have almost a set rule that if someone's like, "Hey, you want to come on and talk about Ernest?" I'm like, "Fuck yes, I'm in. Let's
We're
do
doing it.
So like where I feel like a lot of my generation latched on to like Pee-wee's Playhouse, which I did as well. Like I loved Pee-wee's Playhouse. For some reason, I don't know what it is. Like Ernest worked for me. I don't know if it was specifically the TV show because it had to have been. I had to have seen his TV show first. He had like a 1-season TV show where I'm positive. I'm almost positive he won like some Emmys from, and it was very like. Do you know what You Can't Do That on Television is? So the TV show kind of worked a lot like You Can't Do That on Television, where it's these like very fast, like
Yeah.
30-second to a minute like sketches.
Yeah.
And it would be like a revolving cast of characters doing these sketches were like some like one sketch would be like Ernest goes to get his hair done, and every time he's like, I want to look like a big wig tycoon or whatever, and the guy hears him wrong and it like does this crazy absurd wig where it'll be like the Eiffel Tower, and he's like, I thought you said this. It's just like kind of dumb shit like that.
Right.
And eventually that led to like me discovering probably like Ernest Saves Christmas. I would assume probably like the first one, because I feel like a lot of people around my age, that was like the big one, because that was like the big one that like Disney pushed. And I don't know, like I just, something about him worked for me where I found it funny, and it just like, you know, there's like a period where you hit high school and you're like, oh, I hate this shit for when I was a kid. I get rid of all of it, and then you eventually come back to some of that stuff. And Ernest specifically is one of those characters where like I was randomly at like a used movie store, and I was like, oh man, I used to love Ernest. Like I'm gonna buy like, there's a collection of like 3 movies, and I think it was like Goes to Camp, Scared Stupid, and Goes to Jail. And I was like, oh, these kind of still hold up for me. And then I just kind of was like, oh, I'm gonna go like see what other stuff's on DVD. Ended up getting all the movies, got like the TV show. There's like a 2-volume collection of just all of the commercials.
Yes.
Jim Varney did as Ernest.
Oh, we'll get into it.
Yeah, there's like all of these different things that they released on DVD, and I bought all of them, and I was like, these all rock. I am an Ernest stan again.
You're like, this is awesome. This is so good. Yeah, no, that's totally fair, because like, you know, yeah, like a lot of people probably did go to Pee-wee, and it's like that, like Pee-wee, Ernest, and Elvira. They are so like just quintessential 80s characters that really just came out of like these like comedians just trying to be funny. Okay, that's what it is. Like it's, and I think that's so fascinating to me. And with that,
like, I feel like for the most part, they're 3 characters that it's like they're hard to really be like, well, this is why they work, because it's like, on paper, like I would see any of those 3, and I'd be like, how do you make this into a TV show and a movie? Exactly. Although like Elvira a little different, because it's like there was like the blueprint of like Vampira before that, of like and like horror host. But it's like trying to explain, like I feel like trying to explain like Pee-wee Herman to like a 16-year-old who has like has never heard of it before, but like I'd be like, yeah, it's just like, dude, he lives in a house. There's like a genie head and a talking sofa, and like
he has this like cute suit he wears and like all this, right? He's like a man child. Yeah,
they'd just be like, this, all right, old man, get out of here.
no, totally. And also like we only have so many of those other people like that, you know. It's like besides like Steve Burns from Blue's Clues, I guess, you know what I mean, where you have like, and he's a children's host, I mean, but you know. And what's interesting about Ernest too is that he's not a children's host. Maybe like in a way can kind of like appeal to kids sometimes, but like he wasn't expressly made for that. So no, I totally get what you're saying, and I can understand that. And you pick up on the weird shit. Like, and,
Yeah.
you're like, hey, why not?
The
But yeah.
the late 80s and early 90s were like a treasure trove for weird shit marketed to kids. Cause like there was a Toxic Avenger cartoon called the Toxic Crusaders. There was a Return of the Killer Tomatoes cartoon. Like, just like I feel like if you just watch like any like even a little past my age, but I still was like still watching like Rocko's Modern Life is weird as fuck.
It's so weird, but it's the best show ever.
Oh, it's so good. And it's like
so
that,
good.
All Real Monsters.
Oh, yes. Oh my God. We can get into it. Oh my Jesus.
There's so much like extra weird stuff that like I guess like there is like SpongeBob's pretty fucking weird.
It is really fucking weird, but for some reason it's like really like become whatever, or it's become like very family friendly or whatever. We love you, Tom Kenny. Also, the thing with Tom Kenny, he's a king because first off, I hope he has a bag. Really hope, but like he also, if you look at his old stand up and shit, girl, he was weird as shit. He was like off the wall crazy. And it makes sense that he then became a big cow and then also became a, a sponge. Like it makes total sense to me.
I knew him from Mr. Show, like the David Cross, Bob Odenkirk sketch show. And like, it's so wild to watch that where it's like pretty dark and gets like pretty raunchy. And then you're just like, oh yeah, but he's SpongeBob. And you're just like,
but he is SpongeBob. Oh my God. It's so good. And also what's great about Rocko's Modern Life too. Shout out Scott from Movies That Made Us Gay. He has a tattoo of Rocko somewhere on his body. Love that for him. But also love the fact that Joe Murray is not a creep. He's not a creep,
the normal
which is great.
Nickelodeon like
because
formula.
fucking John Kricfalusi can die in a literal garbage can. He's disgusting. I don't care for Ren and Stimpy because I don't give a shit. I don't think it's that good. Whatever.
I liked Ren and Stimpy when I was like 10.
Yeah,
and
but
then
like nah.
Like a couple years ago, I think it all came to streaming at some point, and I was like, I haven't seen this since I was a kid. Let's see how this works. And I was it's kind of brutal.
This is brutal, and it's not as good as Rocko's Modern Life. Fuck this shit. Like it's so good.
Like but Rocko rocks because there's like it's extra weird, but it's like adult in a kid's way, as opposed to where like Ren and Stimpy's like an adult and like it's adult in like an adult's way. Like you watch that now and you're like, how did this make it to like Nickelodeon?
Yeah, no, it's so true. And like the thing with it is that like Rocko's just so lovable. And oh my God, like all of those people are so lovable. Just like all of those characters are amazing. Joe Murray, like came out of the abuse from John Kricfalusi and like was able to make something so cool. And I'm so happy for him. Like also like having these like kind of weird shit, but then also like having like technically like the big head's previous son transition into a woman, and that's canon in the Static Cling movie, like, or having like, I don't know, having like those lizards that didn't wear pants and like they were definitely gay, kind of like, you know what I mean? Like these people who I'm just like, you were doing some weird shit, but I'm here for it. Like, let's do it.
There's a bunch of stuff, and especially at Rocko, where it's like you watch it now and you're like, well, this was like way over my head as a kid because I had no idea what this like subtext was.
Right. No, totally.
Kind of rules because I feel like there's a lot of people that are like grew up with that. They were like, that was like a thing that like I related to these characters and it made sense because like now that I'm like openly queer, like I understand why these characters were like my favorite.
Yeah, no, totally. Oh, I love that. Anyway, go watch The Orange Years, everybody. It's on Hulu. It's very interesting and really good.
I haven't gotten around to that yet. I've heard it's really good.
It's pretty good. You get to learn about just like the background of some of this like Nickelodeon shit. And they also do talk about you can't do that on television. So that was made for you.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we'll go over some, basic production history. I don't have much of it, but we'll just go over like some of the history of Ernest and also like how this movie came to be. I'm sure you have some notes to give of like, here's what happened or whatever. And then talk about like the characters, the plot, what we like about it, all that kind of shit. Because I just watched this on YouTube. So go watch it on YouTube for free.
It's also like if you have a library card, you watch it on like Hoopla, their like streaming app with like through the library.
Hell yeah. Or Canopy, probably. You probably find it there too. But anyway, so but yeah, this was released, and also it's spooky season, everybody. So you're hearing this right in the middle of October. But this was released October 11th of 1991. Yeah, 91 41 minutes, so it gets in, gets out. We love that. Buena Vista
Yeah.
Pictures distributed.
I feel like one of the things that like really works for these movies, they're all like a tight 80 or 90 minutes.
It's good. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, get in, get out. Like, don't be wasting my time with this. We know what we're doing.
Yeah, we don't need like Judd Apatow 2-hour comedy.
We really don't.
Ernest.
I really don't. Yeah, but Buena Vista Pictures did this, so that was the people who brought us Romy and Michelle. They brought us like all these other fucking, like movies pretty much. And that was an arm of Disney. So that's cool.
Yeah.
And then $9.6 million budget or so, which is fair for movie budget, I guess. It's not too low budget, but it's like, I guess it makes sense.
It's kind of amazing to look at that budget and like it's like what the effects of this movie like hold up.
Mm-hmm.
Like the trolls look pretty great.
Yeah.
For like, like I feel like you make this now, they're gonna be like, oh, we need at least $70 million for this.
Oh, completely.
Like, no, you don't.
You don't. You just get the people from Killer Clowns, and they're just gonna come in and do it. It's fine.
Just reuse some of the clowns, just spray paint them brown.
Exactly. And then there you go. Right. But yeah, so opening weekend rank for this was at number 4, because this was the last Ernest movie to go to theaters. So it was about $4,453,132 was the opening gross. And then domestically, because this was not released internationally, because why would it be? But whatever, it's a very American thing. But we're looking at about $14,143,280. So again, it didn't make much of a profit for Buena Vista, and because of that, because it was kind of an abject quote failure, like that's probably why a lot of this stuff became straight to DVD, direct to video stuff.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
But we're looking at a 17% on Rotten Tomatoes, only with 6 reviews though. So those reviewers were hating.
I mean, I'll say on Letterboxd it's sitting at a 2.9, which feels correct.
That feels very correct. You did my job for me. I appreciate that. But yeah, and then 51% from users, about 25,000 ratings. So, I mean, there are people who at least like this, probably because of nostalgia, and all that kind of stuff. So, fair enough.
Yeah.
Now, with this particular like movie and just the series of Ernest, we got to talk a little bit about a gentleman by the name of John Cherry, who is now since passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But he pretty much created this character. So, I mean, the baseline idea of Ernest, it came from this guy, John Cherry, who I guess was from or lived in Nashville, Tennessee. And he like pretty much like had an ad agency, if I'm not mistaken, or something. He worked in that industry.
Yeah, so John Cherry is an interesting character because like he wrote a book called Keeper of the Clown, I think is the title, that I haven't read because I've heard it's kind of maybe not super accurate.
Right.
And it's all about like creating the Ernest character and working with Jim Varney and stuff. And so like I don't know a lot about him because I haven't actually read the book. But like from what I've gathered from like listening to other podcasts, it just seems like he just had this idea to do these like ads that like some reason took off, especially regionally, but then like nationally with this character.
Yeah, according to his little Wikipedia page, so take it with a grain of salt, but apparently he was the executive vice president and co-namesake of Nashville-based advertising agency Cardin and Cherry. And so he really just based this character off of a guy who worked for his dad, who Cherry said that he thought he knew everything but didn't know anything. So that makes sense. And then really he ended up like, I guess, meeting Jim Varney. I don't know how they met exactly, because Jim Varney as a person, he started off as a serious actor, really. If we had to say, I mean, he's from Kentucky. So there we go.
Jim Varney spent like his entire career after Ernest took off trying to be like, like a quote unquote real actor, where he wanted to do like serious roles and like just got typecast and like to the point where like he didn't really get to like kind of show the chops he really had in a lot of things. And, then he like passed away in, I think 99.
Yeah, something like that.
And so like it's kind of a bummer because there's things you can watch like clips of him on YouTube where people have posted where he's done like monologues. He was actually like a pretty decent like country singer. Like there's footage of him on like country music shows in like the maybe late 70s, early 80s.
Like the Grand Ole Opry with like Dolly Parton and stuff.
Yeah, I forget like so some of that stuff I've only seen like once. There's a podcast called The Importance of Seeing Ernest, and I think they're the Ernest P. Worrell Preservation Society now.
Right.
And they like uncovered like a pretty decent amount of that stuff and like kind of brought it to sort of public attention.
Right.
And it's all like pretty interesting, and it's kind of a bummer because like even in like Ernest Scared Stupid, I feel like is a pretty good example that shows like a good portion of his range when it comes to like still doing it as the Ernest character, but like there's like some emotion in it from him. There's like him obviously being scared stupid. There's like I think one of the funniest moments to me still in this movie. Like, I don't know, like he somebody had range that I feel like it's really unfortunate that didn't get to put that out in the world as much as he should have.
Yeah, agreed. I think like he seems like such a good actor, and like the fact that yes, he was able to make a career off of being Ernest and that did well for him, but like also it's that weird thing where I mean, like this is like the whatever, but like it's kind of the granddaddy of commercial character gone right. Imagine this happening to Flo from Progressive or fucking Jake from State Farm. Do you know what I mean? Like that is literally Ernest.
They tried. Do you remember those like oh fuck, I can't remember what like the commercials were for. I feel like it was
the caveman people.
Yeah, where they had a TV show
I
for
remember
like 5 episodes or something
that
like Nick Kroll was in.
Yeah.
And like they've tried since to do
weird
that
with
characters. And like I feel like Ernest is the only one that really sort of like stuck around.
Yeah. I mean, like really, like I think it was just that apparently they were doing a commercial. The first time Ernest showed up was doing the commercial for a place called Beach Bend Park, which is in Kentucky, which of course he's from. And so like that probably was just like they found him. He was really talented. He was a stand-up, so he went out and because this is what you did back in the day when you were an actor, is that even if you weren't local to LA, sometimes you would just go to LA for like a month and you'd be like, hey, let me go stay with a friend of mine who has this, or kind of try to like make it or whatever. And that was plenty of people's journeys. Because apparently he worked at the Comedy Store before, and like worked with Robin Williams before, like they knew each other, which would make total sense in a way. But yeah, I mean, just the fact that he didn't hit the same stardom maybe, but I think in his own right though, because I think there are a lot of people who look at Jim Varney and they're like, wow, he's really fucking talented. Yeah, maybe he didn't reach the same heights, but who cares?
I think a lot of people, regardless of what they think about like the movies overall, I think it's like it's impossible to be like, well, Jim Varney's like doesn't have talent. Like he's as from like a comedic standpoint, he's got like pretty great like instincts and like
absolutely.
The scene when the dumpster lid falls on his hand and he does the double take is like to this day makes me like blurt out laughing. It's so good.
It's so good. Like some of these things, it's just like slapstick as hell, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Ernest is probably like his most big thing because he was in the, I don't think it was apparently very good. He was in the live action Beverly Hillbillies movie that was right before the Brady Bunch movie. So like, but I don't think that did very well apparently. No, so like,
I back that movie. It's fun. It's not like, right. It's not anywhere near as good as like those Brady Bunch ones.
Right. Or like maybe Addams Family Values or something. Right.
Yeah. But, like it takes it a little too seriously and just trying to do like a real like Beverly Hillbillies sort of like quote unquote like remake, as opposed to like the Brady Bunch one is blatantly like poking fun.
Completely. Like, I covered those movies and yes, camp.
Like he's great in it. Diedrich Bader's really good in it as well.
I love that.
Like, but it's just one of those things where it's like they're trying to make an actual Beverly Hillbillies movie as opposed to like making it campy. So it falls flat on like that aspect, but I back it. If like you could watch it, I'd say watch it. He's really good in it.
Oh yeah, no, totally. And like I said, I think abjectly, like, oh, because people say that those Brady Bunch movies are horrible. I'm like, you don't have taste or class, like at all, if you think that. But yeah, I'd maybe give it a shot. I didn't really grow up with the Beverly Hillbillies, so I don't really,
Yeah,
whatever.
I've seen maybe like 3 episodes of like
Listen,
ever. If Jim Varney hadn't have been in it, I would have had zero
yeah.
interest.
I understand that, yes. And also, like, listen, I'm sure it is better than that Monsters that came out from Rob Zombie because
Yeah, that shit is terrible.
I tried watching that and I couldn't do it, Nathan. I couldn't do it.
I am not a Rob Zombie movie fan, but I
I,
still end up seeing them all for some
he was,
reason.
he maybe was like, I think the two movies he did good were, I guess, House of a Thousand Corpses. That was fun. And then also, because I'm a horror head too, of course, but like, that was fun. And then I guess Devil's Rejects is cool, but like, a lot of stuff
Rejects,
after that, I'm like, what?
I haven't watched it in years. I'd say that's probably like the one that probably holds up the best.
Sure.
And I have a soft spot for his Halloween 2 solely because it's fucking weird. And I respect the swing of him making that extra weird movie, but I'm not going to say it's good.
Right. I mean, like, they're just running around in like Rocky Horror outfits. Bria Grant is there. It's a whole thing, y'all. I don't know, man. It's weird as shit. But anyway,
that Monsters movie is brutally bad, and I'm baffled by the people who are like, this is so fun.
I was like, how? Why? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
like, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
That'll be a 4-hour podcast if we start talking about that movie.
Oh God, I can't. Well, hey, if I make a Patreon or something, maybe I could throw it on there. It's fine. But no, it's just like, it's crazy. Anyway, but yeah. So that's a little bit about Ernest though. But yeah, I mean, when you think about it, it really is like this commercial character did well. And you even see that with like the guy from the Progressive, or not Progressive, the car insurance commercials, and he was in that movie No Exit. You know what I'm talking about? That guy.
Is it the guy from like the dude who's on 30 Rock?
I think so. Yeah. Like
he plays he's like the guy that plays all, he's like, I'm like your car's left blinker, and like causes accidents and shit or whatever.
No, not that guy. Oh, that guy's different. No. Yeah.
Okay.
No, this guy. Dennis Haybert. Yes. That's who he is.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. Wow. He's in Major League.
Yeah. Waiting to Exhale.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But yes, he is the guy who has been making his bag with, being a commercial person now. But he also had an actual, like, he's had a film career. He's Allstate. He's the guy from Allstate.
Allstate, yeah.
There you go. But yeah, what is it? Like, Geico doesn't have any fun, like, fucking shit or whatever. Because that little gecko.
I'm fucking amazed that, like, there was never I'm sure there's probably a pitch that never took off, but like the Geico lizard as a TV show.
Oh my God. Like, that'd be ridiculous. But
it would make more sense than the caveman, but like,
that's true. That's very true.
I guarantee there 100% at some point was probably a pitch that just didn't land, but I'm amazed there wasn't like a pilot or something made.
I know, right? Like something you could find. Oh my God. Anyway, but yeah. So I mean, but but you see that with like some people, like they get pigeonholed. Like, what will Stephanie Courtney do after Flo dries up? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I don't know, but she'll probably be fine. But like, that's what people, it's like that, the girl from AT&T who's actually an actress, like, and she's just made her bag with like the AT&T money.
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure like there was supposed to be like a live action, like Marvel Squirrel Girl movie that like she was attached to play, and it got like canceled and stuff. And I was like, I didn't realize she was like a real actress.
No, she's like a real actress. I don't know her name. I'm so sorry, Allstate girl. But like, yeah, no, that's totally fair. But anyway, so I mean, this movie, like, in terms of production history, though, I mean, let me see if I really didn't find much of it. Yeah, I mean, really, when it comes down to it, like, yeah.
There's not like a whole lot. Like, it's not like it wasn't like a troubled production. It wasn't anything like that. It's just a movie that got made. So there's not like a lot of like real interesting details like going into the making of it, outside of like the Kyotos brothers from like Killer Clowns in Outer Space did like all the trolls, including like I mentioned earlier, like one of the trolls is literally just one of the clowns, like just all like just painted a different color
because they had to, they were on a budget, and listen,
hey, they made it work.
Yeah, but like, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
This is like the only Ernest movie with like a star in it that was already a star with like Eartha Kitt. Like there's ones like I think I think it's Ernest Goes to School that like Sarah Chalk from Scrubs and
Roseanne.
like Roseanne is in it. Will Sasso is in it. And
Oh,
like well
love.
before his like, Mad TV
Hmm.
time. And so there's like people that were in that later on become like
Hmm.
notable names. But I think this is the only one that like has somebody like that, like Eartha Kitt being in it,
Right.
that kind of like lent it a little bit more credibility, I think, with people. Probably like
Depending
around the
on who
time it
you
came
ask,
out.
I
Yeah.
guess.
With,
Yeah,
Batman 66 fans.
exactly. And like also just people being fans of Eartha Kitt because
Yeah.
Eartha Kitt's great.
Yeah,
Um,
she's so good in this.
she's so good. Like she's ridiculous. And I love her. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Just her with her flamethrower is me every single day.
Her with the giant can opener trying to like
Literally,
get
like fucking so good. Oh my God. Yeah, no, but that's a little bit about Ernest. But I mean, yeah, they really like found these like they found a little niche with him making commercials, and then they were like, "Hey, let's make a fucking movie, dude," and they did. So
Yeah.
this is the fourth one. Like you said, there were the other ones: Saves Christmas, Goes to Camp, all those other ones. This is
I'm
just
gonna
really
say
there.
this is technically the fifth one because there was a movie
Oh, you're right.
in between the commercials and in between Ernest Goes to Camp called Dr. Otto and the Riddle of the Gloom Beam,
Which you can also find on YouTube, everybody.
which is incredible. The YouTube rip kind of sucks. It looks like shit because I know it's made it to DVD, but it was in like this one very rare like box set of Ernest
Right,
things.
right.
It's like $300 if you want to use
Exactly.
now. But that was made as a separate movie that once
Mhm.
Ernest took off, they went back and added Ernest as like a interstitial character into it. Now as canon, that's the first Ernest movie, and then it's Camp, Christmas, Jail, then this.
Yes.
Then I think Splash Mountain is after this, something like that.
Yeah, I think Slash On's around this. Yeah,
Splash
right.
Mountain is like either right before or right after this because it's like
Right.
they're obviously still working with Disney.
Yeah, no, totally. But yeah, so the writers of this were Charlie Gale and Coke Sams, who really the only things they really have done are the other Ernest movies. They didn't really do a whole lot else,
I think Coke Sams is the only one that's directed an Ernest movie outside of John Cherry.
That's correct. Yeah. Also, the composer we have Bruce Arnston and Kirby Shellstad. They also did the Ernest movies. It's really what they've been known for. Now, this is where we get to be a little bit different. So we got cinematographer Hanena Bear. Okay, so that's who like shot this movie, and I thought this was kind of fun. He is the same person, he, she, they, whatever. They are the same person who shot Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Yeah.
So yeah, fun time.
Which makes sense because they both have like a similar feel.
Really well made TV movie feels.
Yeah, and like Ernest has like got all of the movies has a very like in your face look to them.
Yeah.
But this one does a lot of the like kind of relating it back to like Batman 66. Like there's like the Dutch angles in them and like very weird, like weird, maybe not the right word, but very kind of like deliberate and like strange camera angle choices going on in some of this. And like it makes sense when you watch this, especially backed with Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. You're like, yeah, I see this. I see how like the same person filming this.
Completely. He also did Electric 2. He did Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo as well.
It looks like he worked a lot with Canon Films.
Yeah,
because like Masters of the Universe live action movie, Ninja 3: The Domination, Assassination with Charles Bronson, like Breaking 2, and the first Breaking. Like I think all of those are Canon Films.
Think so too. So that's that. And then the editor of this, he actually has had like a really interesting career because he edited two, I have not seen them, so I don't know if they're bangers or not, but he has edited two different DComs, Johnny Tsunami and Motocrossed, fun times. But he also, as a assistant editor, he did Raging Bull, Cat People with Malcolm McDowell.
Cat People rocks.
Yeah, The Goonies he also helped edit, and then also The Color Purple. Like, so Craig Bassett is the guy who did this, and yeah, he was an assistant editor on these big ass movies where he probably cut his teeth and then was like, this is what else I'm gonna go edit. Being the main editor on it.
It looks like he's fallen into the like Hallmark and Sci-Fi Channel.
Honestly though, love
movie.
That for him.
Well, we had Misty Talley on the podcast who does
love
both
her.
of those, and like she was like, hey, it's fast work, like a lot of that stuff is done in
Yes.
like 2 weeks, but she's like, it's good work, especially if you
Oh,
fall into that and they like you and you can like produce the content they want, like you're
how do you
set.
think? Yeah, exactly. How do you think David Dakota literally pays anything? Because literally he just has made the Lifetime. I hope he's made a Lifetime bag too. I really hope
Yeah,
so. Because giving us something like Sorority Babes, like what the fuck?
yeah.
But you know what? Okay, fine, whatever. Also Misty Tally, icon, legend, star of the not the star of, but she's the director of the one and only Santa Jaws, which
Yeah,
don't
the
worry,
best
it's
Christmas
coming.
movie.
It is coming.
I
Oh, it's
I
coming.
I anytime anyone's what's like what's the best shark movie, I'm like, sure, it's Jaws, really it's Santa Jaws.
No, it's really just Santa Jaws. Like I could give a fuck less about that other shark, but that little female feminist little shark with her little hat on.
Her other shark movies, Mississippi River Shark, Zombie Shark, and Ozark Sharks are all pretty great too.
All bangers. Oh god, maybe I need to watch this. I know Cassie Steele is in one of them. I know, like she might be in multiple of them. Who knows? But
Yeah, I
I think
can't
she's in
remember
Mississippi River Shark. Yeah.
because they reuse a lot of, especially like I feel like Mississippi River Shark and Ozark Shark were shot like back to back or some shit.
Also,
Like,
this is the same movie. These are Zombie Shark or one of those things. The same one who has Jason London playing a version of himself.
oh
What the
yeah,
fuck?
which one is that?
That is like, oh my god, it's either Mississippi River Shark or it is one of these things. I don't fucking know.
I know what,
but
I think it has to be Zombie Shark. Maybe
I think it
'cause
is.
he's in
Yeah.
that one. I remember
Good.
talking about that, but
Yeah,
yeah, it looks like it has to be Zombie Shark.
I think it has to be Zombie Shark.
Oh
But
no, he's
he's
in Mississippi River Sharks too. No, yeah,
yeah,
Mississippi River Sharks is the one he plays himself.
yeah, he plays himself in it. Ridiculous.
That's the one that has Cassie Steele in it.
Love that. Oh god. From Tu Wong Fu to Mississippi River Shark. I mean, good for you. Like really. Hey, listen,
I
when
watched Tu Wong Fu for the first time, like this summer.
oh my god, Nathan. What did you think?
It's fine. I really was hoping it was going to be like a straight up like sort of like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, like road movie where they're like constantly on the move. And so once they got to the town, I was kind of like, oh, so this just like these outsiders like change this town, which I was like, it works for what it is, but I was like really like hoping for this like wacky road comedy.
It is not the wacky road comedy, unfortunately, but Patrick Swayze is
totally
there.
Works. It's like all three of them are fucking great in it.
Oh,
John Leguizamo is killing it.
Oh my god, like really. And you'll have heard this on my episode about it because this will be recorded. Well, this is recorded before I actually record it, but whatever. I fucking love that movie because I think they give a whole lot of respect to the art of drag and drag queens.
I
love
think
that.
I think I put it off watching it because I was just like, a 90s movie about drag. There's no way this isn't problematic as fuck.
and it
like
they completely isn't.
Yeah, like I remember watching it and I was like, well, it's very blatantly like Wesley Snipes, and like they're not great with their makeup and shit,
Right.
but it was the 90s, so like whatever.
Right. And just the marketing of that movie where it was like these action stars, blah blah blah, and then like whatever. But then Stockard Channing's there and fucking Gwyneth Paltrow's mom's there. Like, what is this movie?
Yeah, the movie's it's really good. It was just a thing where I'm like watching it and I was like, man, I wish this would have been like a road movie instead. But it totally works.
I wish it took a little bit of but have you ever seen Priscilla ever? Yeah. So like to me, like I used to say like, I like Priscilla a little bit more than Tu Wong Fu. Now I'm at a point where I'm just like, you know what? They both have their nice little merits. I will say that, well, they both have their little problematic things because you do have Chris Penn saying a slur for Hispanic people and also using the N-word, weirdly enough. Kind of odd. Unsurprising, but besides that, everything else is great. But then in Priscilla, unfortunately, you do have the thing of, I mean, they the T slur like one time in a song or whatever, but you can get into the whole like, like the Asian wife, like what does that represent of? And then also like the fact that they dead name Bernadette's character. Like they dead name her in the movie and all that kind of stuff. So but whatever.
I
It is
feel
what
like
it is.
going like when you watch any sort of remotely like comedic movie from like the 80s or 90s,
Mm-hmm.
like you're doing pretty well if you're getting away with like a slur as opposed to
Yeah.
like multiple.
Oh, completely. No, like seriously. And if you're gonna watch this, you have to think of when it was done and
Yeah.
all that. And it wasn't right back then, but Oh, believe you me, not that you would cover it on your show because these are fantastic movies that you both me and you both love of the Bill and Ted movies,
Oh
but
yeah. Yeah.
like I mean, those movies like they want to get into the whole thing of like using the term fag or whatever, but I'm just like, but like those movies are still so good where I'm just like, I don't care. But the fact that apparently both Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter have said like, hey, look, this wasn't right at the time, and if it affects your viewing like of this movie, that's completely fair and valid. But at least you have a content warning to show that like, hey, maybe if you don't like that kind of language, maybe don't, if it affects you, maybe don't watch it. But like also it wasn't right back then either.
Yeah.
So if they actually did say that and it wasn't just somebody making it up, then
No,
I appreciate that. And I really do think they've said that.
Yeah, I know specifically like because like Keanu Reeves doesn't have it seems like any social media whatsoever, but Alex Winters was pretty active on Twitter, and then now I think just on Blue Sky, maybe Instagram. Yeah. But like
probably
people like ask him and like he like responds to a lot of shit. He seems like a genuinely like great dude.
No, seriously. He's so good. Like, obviously you covered Freaked, I believe, and all that, but
and like, what were you gonna say? Like I was gonna say, like going back to like the Bill and Ted thing, it's like it's also like yeah, it's not at all good that like that slur is in there. Mm-hmm. But it's also one of those things that like you watch it now and it's like a pretty accurate portrayal of like generally like metalhead dudes, especially at that time. Like it's kind of like, well, like, I hate that it's in here, but also like this is what this shit was like. It still is as somebody who's in the metal community. It's not like it's gotten better.
Yeah, no, and for me at least, like I don't mind throwing that term around because I am a gigantic homo, but like but I understand it's not for everybody and whatever. But like even that though, where I'm just like, but even when they say that in the first movie, they hugged each other because they thought that one of them died, and that's what they say because they hug each other, and then they're just like they kind of like recoil or whatever, and that is actually funny to me. Like or like Can't Hardly Wait has that. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, but I haven't seen it probably since it came out.
So there was the thing where Mike Dexter, the Peter Facinelli guy, he is being like an asshole to Jennifer Love Hewitt, and then he like kind of embarrasses himself in the at the party or whatever, and then she like walks away from him, and then he's like trying to like be all macho, but then somebody just like yells out the term fag. And it's just like very funny to me where I'm just like, it was this thing of like, yes, it may have not been great, but like that moment to me was funny because it's like, no, he's an asshole and somebody is like making fun of him in a way. Yeah. And I'm sorry, it's what it was in the 90s. I get it. It's not great, but that was funny to me where I was like, oh no, he kind of deserved that because he was an asshole.
I recently watched
Black I promised Sheep. We're going to talk about Ernest at some point.
I recently had watched like Black Sheep because I had like a point where I was like, I'm going to like go back and revisit like all of those like SNL related like comedies because I haven't seen any of them since the 90s.
Oh, right.
And then like they're like, some of them are like, God damn, this does not hold up on like any aspect.
Yeah.
But like, I got to Black Sheep and I was like, all right, there's no way there's not like something horrible in this. And it like was surprisingly kind of wholesome.
Oh, I love
from
that.
What I remember, as opposed to where then you get to like, this isn't like an SNL related one, but then you get into like any of the late 90s, like American Pie stuff. And you're just like, God damn, this is just like a minefield of fucking terrible stuff.
Those American Pie movies, God, some of the American Reunion is so bad. Like that is so bad.
Bleak period for American comedies.
Oh my God. Like, no, like the first one is like maybe because like Mina Savari's there and like, Allison Hannigan's there. That's cruel. But like, and American Pie and American Pie 2, I kind of love. Like, I kind of enjoy those, like, in a weird way. I haven't seen American Wedding in a minute, but I mean, it's probably all right, maybe. But American Reunion is so terrible. It's so bad. It is so bad. And they put Natasha Lyonne in there at the end, kind of, sort of. It's a whole, oh god, it's so bad. And then Girls Rule apparently was really bad. I tried watching that. That did not work. Introducing Barry Bostwick. Are you fucking kidding me? That's Brad. I mean, anyway, sorry. Off on a tangent.
You know, the first movie Barry Bostwick did, that movie.
Oh yeah, the first one he ever did, like, completely. I fucking hate that movie. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, so I mean, with back to Ernest Scared Stupid though. So obviously Jim Varney is like our lead actor. He's been in everything with Ernest, but he also did Toy Story, of course. Posthumously, he was in Atlantis: The Last Empire, which I have not seen, but I have on my list to watch. I think it'd be really cool. I want to see what he did. And then Eartha Kitt, as you said, is from Batman from the 60s, playing Catwoman, Eartha Kitt. But then also in Harriet the Spy, love that. She plays one of the weird ones that
she is in Harriet the Spy.
She is in Harriet the Spy because she's one of the people that Harriet spies on. Love that. And then she's also in The Emperor's New Groove and Holes. So again, had a nice little thing with Disney.
Also, and then highly recommend the movie Friday Foster. She's in, like, a 70s blaxploitation movie.
Oh hell yeah! Oh, I love that. Yeah, I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, there she's really good in that.
And then Shay Astar, who plays, what's the chick's name in this, the little girl? Elizabeth, there you go. She was in Third Rock from the Sun. We were talking a little bit because I just Instagram message you every so often, and I was like, you know, she was in I Know Who Killed Me with Lindsay Lohan. You were like, I don't think I have the patience to watch that film. I was like, you're no fun. Okay, whatever.
I don't like. Every once in a while, there's like a movie where I'm like, that, like, people will recommend that, and I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I haven't seen it. I think I would have to watch it first to be like, I don't know if this will work on the podcast or not. But like, it just seems like I'm going to get like 30 minutes into it, but like, I can't do this.
Yeah, who knows? It's kind of Giallo-esque, kind of, from what I hear. So I'm like, okay, cool.
That's what I've heard people say that, but I'm like,
but worse.
Something about that movie, just like, I feel like people are like, no, you don't get it. Like, it's so bad, it's good. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't always work for me. So right. I don't know. I'll watch it at some point and see.
Yeah. And she's also, this girl's also in All Cheerleaders Die, which I have not actually finished or watched. That's a Lucky McKee movie, I think. I believe it is.
Yeah, he co-directed that. I've seen it. I don't remember a lot about it. I remember being like fine. It's like a horror comedy. So like, it was whatever. I could probably be swayed either way on.
Yeah, I think I turned it off at some point. I was like, I don't know if I can do it, but you know, whatever, it's fine. But yeah, so I mean, other little fun things. So obviously, like, I would venture to say that the casting director of this movie obviously was a casting director for Disney. So like, I guess because both of the leads in this movie, which are really just Jim Varney and Eartha Kitt, I guess they did good enough where she then also cast Eartha Kitt as Yzma, which is one of her most well-known things she's ever done, from The Emperor's New Groove, and also Jim Varney in Toy Story. Yeah. So, you know, that helps that she also cast this movie because it was her job to. So
I honestly feel like if Jim Varney was still alive, he would have like a thriving voice acting career.
He absolutely would.
Yeah,
100%. Also, I love the fact that he and apparently a good friend of his, I almost called him Chet Hunter, but he is not Chet Hunter. His name's Blake Clark. So that's Sean's dad from Boy Meets World. Guy, Blake Clark. He was very good friends with Jim Varney and took over for Slinky Dog after Jim Varney passed away. So it's nice to have that, at least, like, you know. But if you ever watch Boy Meets World, if you've ever seen Sean's dad, he's the one that talks like this, you know, all that.
That checks out.
That checks out with, like, him and Jim Varney have a similar voice.
Like, I could absolutely see them being friends too.
Oh, completely. Yeah. I could have seen Jim Varney on, like, what the Home Improvement show. Like, that could have worked. That would have made sense.
Yeah,
you know?
that honestly probably would have made sense.
No, that would have made total sense. Like, he could have absolutely, I mean, Tim Allen's trash, but like, you know, like, but whatever, fine.
Hey, get that money while you can. If
Get
you're
that money
if
from there.
like if you're like an actor trying, struggling to make it, and they're like, hey, come on, like I know the show's not on the air anymore, but like 2.5 Men, like fuck it,
Do it.
go
How do
make
you
that
think Melanie
money.
Linsky made a little career? She's on that show. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Good for her.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, as you said, the Kyoto brothers are the people who did the effects on this. They are the ones who also did Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which even just the song of that is like a banger. Like, oh,
Yeah,
it's
that
so
movie's
good.
so good.
It's so good. It has Christopher Titus in it in a small little role, really
Yeah.
random as shit. I love that though.
One of the funny things, well, I guess not necessarily funny, but like Austin
Yeah.
Nagler, who plays Kenny, like the main kid in the movie.
Uh-huh.
This is the only acting role he ever did because he got made fun of relentlessly for a scene
Yeah.
where he like kisses Elizabeth on the cheek, and he quit
Right.
acting because of it. And I'm like, brutal. Like,
Brutal, but
it's not
oh
like he's
yeah.
like a fucking amazing actor in this, but he's fine.
Right.
And it's just like the fact
Yeah.
that like he went back to school and everyone made fun of him for kissing a girl on the cheek that he quit acting.
Right. It's like brutal, dude. Like that's crazy. But also,
Yeah.
like, you know what? Like, that's fair. If you can't handle that, maybe if you can't
Yeah.
handle being ridiculed for it, like maybe you shouldn't be in the industry. Like, might not be the best thing to stay around because you think that's bad, you'll have way worse if you stay in it
Also, like
at some point.
I feel like I would go to like reunions now or whatever and be like, people do fucking podcasts on this movie I'm in. What is your life? You're a
I know,
plumber
right?
now or whatever.
Yeah, like look at all of this. Look at these people who listen to my stupid show.
Yeah.
No, seriously, like I mean, yeah, no, it's oh my god. Thank God I would not do that. Because that sounds awful though. But anyway, no, yeah, but that's only a little bit about that. But I mean, I guess if you had to explain or if you had to summarize this movie, I could go through like a plot summary on like with the Wikipedia or some shit. But if you had to explain what this movie is to somebody who's never seen it before, how would you describe this movie? What would you say it's about?
Um, I mean, without getting into the entire thing of like who Ernest is as a character, it's
Right.
essentially Ernest fighting trolls because there's a curse on his bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
Is the easiest thing. It's like, Ernest and some kids tackling some trolls in
Yeah.
weird and
Yeah.
funny ways. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like I think the plot is just basic enough that like it literally is. It's just Ernest fights some trolls. And like it leaves enough room for them to do weird stuff like the
Uh-huh.
cutaways of Ernest doing like the characters.
Yes.
Like you get you get like enough interaction with the kids that it builds them as characters without like pulling away from Jim Varney as like the main
Mm-hmm.
star of the movie. Yeah, I don't know. Ernest, some kids, Rimshot being the coolest, and they all fight some trolls.
Yes. Hell yeah, that's pretty much what it's about. I mean, like generally, I mean, like the basic, yeah, totally. Like that makes total sense. I mean, the basic plot is that Ernest P. Worrell, who is in Briarsville, they're in Kentucky. Where are they at again?
I don't
Missouri.
Yeah, so every movie he's in a different town, he has a different job, there's different kids, like there's never
Yeah.
any recurring characters other than Chuck and Bobby, but it's Tom and
Mm-hmm.
Bobby in this one who are like the salesmen in this.
Yes.
I think Tom is only in this one. The rest of them it's usually like Chuck and Bobby where it's like a different actor
Mm-hmm.
with
Yeah.
Bobby. But other than that, like there's never like none of them have reoccurring characters or like different job every single time, different town every
Yeah.
single time.
Yeah,
And
I
so,
was wondering about that actually too, because now that you mentioned that, I was like, wait, so like, did these kids know Ernest already? Like, were they in the other movies? But then I was
literally
like,
no
oh, okay, never
backstory.
mind.
You just kind of get like thrown into a world and you just kind of go with it or you don't.
Yeah, no, totally.
I
I
think
mean, but yeah,
Rimshot is in this and Jail. That might be like the only sort
yes,
of connection
absolutely.
to like
Yeah.
any
I
of the
mean,
other movies.
yeah, and then some of his characters he does, like Aunt
Yeah,
Nelda
Auntie
and
Nelda like pops
Bunny, I
up in
think he's done
everything.
before. Yeah,
Yeah.
all that. Yeah. So he's done a couple of those different ones. Also, we will say too, I mean, this was the 80s and 90s, everybody. So there is some weird brown, blackish face in some of these
She plays like a
movies.
Mongolian.
Ugh.
Was it my
So
mom?
yeah, take that with a grain, take that with whatever,
Yeah.
because I mean, Jim Varney's still an icon. We love him, but anyway, but
Yeah, it's not something worth sticking up for, but it is like how we talked about earlier, like Bill and Ted. It's like time period, you know?
yeah, it's time period, and I think we can all agree that like this isn't the best look,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
Optics aren't great for that, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, Ernest is in like Bryersville, Missouri, and he's a garbage. What does he call himself? A sanitation engineer,
Yeah, something like that.
something like
This is
that.
this is the best job I think he has in any of them.
Oh, it seems like it. But he's like a garbage truck driver pretty much, and like he somehow or other like yeah, pretty
His
much like
his bloodline gets cursed. Like the movie opens with like a thing
back
and
in the
like
day.
whatever. Like it's I don't remember if they put like a time on screen or not, but it's like
Oh,
it
a
seems
long
like
time ago.
yeah. Oh, is that what it says?
Yeah.
So it's like pilgrim time or whatever it seems like,
Right.
where they capture this troll and they're going to like bury it, and it like puts a curse
Mhm.
on the Worrell bloodline,
Right.
and to where every Worrell born is going to be dumber and dumber until you get to Ernest, who
Yes. Yeah.
accidentally unleashes this troll that Eartha Kitt is like aware is going to happen.
Right. Right. And Eartha Kitt's like the weird lady in the weird house or whatever. And
With like
yeah,
all of the weird trash sculptures in the front lawn.
iconic. I also
Yeah,
thought she was Mrs. Hagmore, and she's Mrs. Hackmore.
yeah,
But
Hackmore.
Hagmore works too. I like that. I like that even better.
Honestly, it makes more sense, but
It makes more sense actually, but but yeah, and then these kids like are also there too. Like this movie also has some weird DNA with Hocus Pocus, like just a little bit, like, and I'm not much of a Hocus Pocus person. Like I'm not like a huge like, but like it's fine, it's perfectly okay. But yeah, just the fact of like it takes place on Halloween partly. There's like a Halloween like dance that they do, or like a little like gala they call it.
when
So
when did Hocus Pocus come out?
1993, so this predates it by 2 years.
I could see this being like, hey, like this didn't necessarily work, but there's like something here. Like
Yeah,
we could probably do like a kids like horror like Halloween movie, and
yeah,
that's the one that like took off.
pretty
Although
much.
like
Well,
I don't know
it
if
didn't
Hocus
really.
Pocus did well. Like yeah, Hocus Pocus was like another thing like this where it was like after the fact became like the cult icon
Oh,
that it
oh,
is.
completely. Because I also did an episode on it, but I no, but it's totally true because that movie. First off, it was released in July. Let's start there, and then also like it was
Perfect time
re-released.
for a
I
Halloween movie.
know, I know. And then because they put all of their money, they put a lot of stuff into The Nightmare Before Christmas, like
Okay,
because
so
they
that
came out the
makes
same
sense.
year.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah, yeah,
sense.
yeah. So they were like, oh, well, they're banking on the kids, being out of school and watching this, but it's like, bitch, it's about like witches. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But anyway, so they re-released it in October, apparently, but it didn't really save it very much. I talked about this too, because like, the fact that they didn't have a premiere for this movie, which again wasn't like weird necessarily all the time in Hollywood, but like when you think about a Disney, I'm like, yeah, Disney didn't do a premiere for this movie at all. Like they did do one for Hocus Pocus. Like I don't know, not this movie, but like Hocus Pocus in general. Like, but I was like, yeah, no, this movie just it flopped. It made Bette Midler be like, what the fuck? Like my career is ruined, like legitimately. And then people found it, and now it's like, and now every October the Freeform channel just becomes the Hocus Pocus channel. It's fine.
Oh yeah, that movie's like I don't think I've seen it since it came out. I'm not necessarily a fan, but I also like I said I haven't watched it since it came out. But like
Yeah.
all year round, if you follow like horror accounts or whatever, like they talk about that movie
Oh yeah.
constantly. Like it's
Yeah.
beloved.
Totally is, and a bunch of queers like it, which is cool too. I totally understand why. I get it. I've been to Disney and I saw the little show that they had like at the Mickey's Not So Scary thing. Like I've been there. I went there. So it was cool, but I was just like, but this is what this is. Like this is what we're
There's
obsessed about.
there's a handful of movies like that I feel like overall like the horror community is like, no, this is like a top 5 movie all time, and I'm
Mhm.
like, this like
Like this though, like this is what you're standing. Like
yeah, I don't
what?
know. I'm like, yeah, Peggy Hill's in this movie, but it's
Yeah,
always not
Peggy
for
Hill
me.
is in this movie, lovely, but like, what are we doing? Like, what is
But
this?
that also I think is like that would have probably came out at like a time where I was like, yeah, I'm not paying attention to this like Disney shit anymore.
Right,
So
exactly.
like,
Exactly. I have class and taste. I'm gonna watch Ernest, okay?
yeah, yeah. I gotta,
Exactly.
I'm gonna watch this movie with a dog trapping somebody in a garbage truck instead.
And also driving a car.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I believe
yeah.
it. Rimshot's a good enough actor. I buy it.
Exactly. But yeah, no, I mean, like this movie is pretty much just that. I mean, it has like a sort of meandering plot, but it is short, so I do appreciate that. It's not too meandering that bad. Oh god, it's so weird. But like,
It's
yeah.
it's like a very basic plot, but it's got like some like standout things in it that I
Mm-hmm.
think have like at this point have like sort of permeated in like the horror community, which is
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like oh shit, I can't remember how exactly the thing is, but when he calls one of the trolls booger lips, I feel like I see people reference a bunch.
Yes. Yeah.
The eat miak and die when he's like reading the he's like
Mm-hmm.
reading the book and they're like, oh, like the thing that'll like defeat the trolls, like M-I blank K. What could that be? And he's like, oh, authentic Bulgarian miak.
Yes. This
Like
is
it just
also the
becomes a
same
thing, like
scene. This is also the same scene where Eartha Kitt has her huge
the
can
can
opener.
opener. I
Like
have a
it's
hat like somewhere that I think maybe Cavity Colors put out that is just the Ernest Scared Stupid logo, and then the back above like the little latch thing for your hat. I don't know why the whatever term for it is not coming to me. It just says "Eat Miak
whatever.
or Die."
I love that. I was gonna say it was gonna have the little the can opener on it. That would have been great. It
No,
would have been a
that's
serve.
not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea. I love that. But yeah, no, it's just like that, like Miak. Oh my god, it's ridiculous. Oh, also these trolls are killed by milk for some
Yeah,
reason.
why
It's
not?
just they're lactose intolerant. It's fine. Like it's just like this movie is out there so crazy, but like
The
yeah.
scene when he goes to the convenience store and he's like buying snacks to go troll hunting, and then the guy, the troll's like
Yes.
behind him or whatever, and like
Mhm.
the clerk is like doing whatever. Like Ernest is like, oh, like charades, like I love charades, and he's like trying to
Right.
guess what he's doing. He just pulls out like a shotgun and blows it like right past fucking
Like what the
like Ernest's head or whatever, and like makes Ernest drop the chocolate milk, and the troll
Oh
goes right
man, it's
away.
so
It's so
good.
good.
It's very good. Like that was
there's
very fun.
there's something about like a dumb character that has like no situational awareness that like always works for me, and I feel
Yeah.
like Ernest is one of the ones that does it really well for me, and especially
Yeah.
that scene where it's like the dude's pointing a gun right by him and he's just like still trying to like guess what the charades he's playing are.
Yes. No, like completely. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I can get into that as well, where I'm just like, when you play this kind of like dumb character but you do it really well though. Like that's why for me, like not that they're dumb, but like Romy and Michelle work for me a lot because like it's not that they're dumb necessarily, it's just that they are very like, I don't know, they're like fucking they're
They're
just best
characters like
friends.
in their own world while
Yes.
shit is happening around them.
Absolutely. Like that is for me where I'm just like, they could be a little, and that's why Bill and Ted work for me. They're in their own little world. That's
Yeah.
why I love those boys a lot because I'm just like, they're kind of dumb surfer guys, but not really. A lot of people think that they're stoners, but they're not. Like, it's just like this weird shit where I'm just like, yeah, no, I can get into a character that is like dumb, but not like, I don't know. I like dumb characters,
Yeah,
but
same.
they also end up doing something fun. Like, have you ever seen the movie Dick with Kirsten Dunst and Michelle Williams?
I don't think so.
It's a good little movie.
I
It's
think I
about,
know what you're talking about. Like I could picture
yeah.
like the DVD cover, but I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah. It's about it's pretty much a fictional retelling of Watergate and what happened there. And the dad from Clueless is Richard Nixon. And anyway, they play these two girls who end up being Deep Throat. They're like the informant because this is before we knew who Deep Throat was. But like that, there's all that thing, and they have been kind of said to be like dumb characters. But I'm like, yeah, but they're like supposed to be kind of dumb teenage girls, I guess, where they're focused on like things that 14-year-old girls would be interested in or 15-year-old girls would be interested in. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I like that kind of a thing.
I kind of feel like there's a trope with dumb characters where it's like, I feel like Clueless is a good example, maybe Legally Blonde a little bit, where it's like a
Mm-hmm.
character that's like supposed to be portrayed as dumb, but they're actually really
Yes.
smart, as
Oh,
opposed to
completely.
like when they do it with like say like take like Ernest, where it's like a male character where you're just like, no, they're just dumb. They have a good heart, but they're just dumb.
Oh no, totally. And I mean, you could also make the whole Dumb and Dumber thing like it's in the title, but it's like, I mean, I don't think that those. I haven't seen those movies, so correct me if I'm wrong if you've seen them, but like I don't know if those movies have the same heart that I think something like Romeo and Michelle or like like a Clueless or Legally Blonde has. I think those movies have a little bit more heart than something like Dumb and Dumber have.
Yeah, really. I don't think I've seen Dumb and Dumber since probably the 90s, and I can't imagine it holds up.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, there may be some people who really find it funny. Right. There may be some people who think it's funny. It's on my watch list, but oh no, it's not on my watch list. Wayne's World is on my watch list. I don't even know what that holds up.
Wayne's World, I can't say for certain there's not like problematic shit in it, but as far as like a comedy goes, Wayne's World 1 holds up. I haven't seen 2 in years, so I can't say 2 for sure. Yeah. But like Wayne's World's kind of a banger.
Okay.
Ed O'Neill's in it as like this guy that just like works at this donut shop they go to, and he's so good.
Oh, I bet. Like, yeah. No, it sounds great. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, so I mean that's like the plot pretty much is that Ernest is fighting some trolls and he has some kids fighting with him. It's great.
Yeah, it's just shenanigans happen. Like, you get like Ernest gets himself trapped inside his garbage truck and almost crushed to death. He also almost crushes when he thinks he has the trolls captured. He goes to the police station and they're like, all right, open up the back. He's like, you sure you don't want me to just like crush him now? And then they open it and it's just like the mayor's kids in the back, and I'm like, Ernest almost just killed some children.
Oh my god, like so stupid. Like
I love when he's setting the massive bear trap and his plan is that he's got Rimshot dressed up in like a kid's outfit, and he's like, oh, the trolls will just think you're a kid, an ugly kid, but a kid. And then like the trap goes off and Rimshot won't help him get out because he called him ugly.
Exactly. Like it's so good. Like, oh my god. Yeah, I gave this a 3.5 on Letterboxd. And yeah, no, that's apropos for me. Like because sometimes I'm just like, this movie's not good or like whatever, blah blah blah. But I was like, no, this is exactly what I expected it to be. Like this worked.
This is one of those movies that it's hard for me to like objectively look at because it's such a part of my DNA at this point that like, I'm like, no, this is a 5-star movie. Does it like objectively deserve 5 stars? Probably not. But like, I can't view it any other way.
No, that is literally a few movies for me. Specifically, probably Jawbreaker is that for me. There's people who don't like that movie, but I'm like, no, it's perfect. It's great.
There's like everybody has those, and this is one of those for me where I'm like, I can't view, especially those like Ernest Goes to Camp, Saves Christmas, Goes to Jail, and this are like so like embedded in me that I'm like, no, these are just 5-star movies. These are perfect.
Like these are just good. Yeah. Oh, I also because I follow your Letterboxd or whatever, and I definitely am just like, because I look at like what you have on 5 stars, I'm like, yeah, some of this makes sense, but then I'm also like, he also
I can't justify, like, if you see anything I rate on Letterboxd, like my ratings probably only make sense to just me.
No, fair, that's fair. It was like that, and then also like, but I saw that you hated like the original Black Christmas, and I was like,
yeah, I'm not a fan.
You know what?
But I'm also like, I'll say as like a horror person, I'm not a big slasher fan.
Oh, that's
and
fair.
So like, I respect Black Christmas, and it's like in the same way, like I respect the original Scream, but they're not movies that I'm ever like, I don't really want to watch this.
Yeah, like, I also,
like
I can get that.
I feel like the only I like Friday the 13th. I like A Nightmare on Elm Street, but like, am I gonna I'm not going to talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street as if they're all masterpieces like everyone kind of tends to do in the horror.
Oh my god, Dream Child is horrible. That movie's horrible.
So
I blame that little kid from Jurassic Park. Oh god, horrible.
A month ago when this comes out, we had just recorded our 5-year anniversary of I Hope You Suffer episode, and we do the entire Nightmare on Elm Street franchise except Freddy versus Jason, which we'd already done in like a previous episode.
Right.
And Katie had like watched all but one of them for the first time, and it was like a franchise where I was like, I'm never doing these movies because they've been talked to death. I got nothing new to say about them, but it ended up being like fun. But rewatching them all, I was like, maybe 3 of these are good. like they're fun except for
Excuse me, it is literally the first one, the third one, and the New Nightmare one. Those are like the good ones pretty much.
So I go 1, 2, New Nightmare, I think are bangers.
Other bangers.
I like Dream Warriors, but that's where it starts going downhill for me because as far as Freddy goes, I like sinister, scary Freddy. I don't like quippy, comedy Freddy. And that's kind of where 3 Dream Warriors is where it starts. So everything after that, I'm like it goes downhill. But like Dream Warriors is still like, I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. It's still like a good movie.
Oh, it's still decent. Yeah.
Then we did the remake, and I was, oh my God, what a fucking piece of shit the remake is.
You know what's so funny is that now we're just getting into horror talk, which is fine. But like, no, we talked about it in Sorority Row with me and Pickens, okay? Because Pickens is also a horror bay as well. So like, we talked about how they missed opportunity to kill Nancy in that movie and to give it all to Katie Cassidy. Like, what the fuck? Like, why did you not do that? Anyway, but because Rooney Mara, like, no, and we talked about this on message where I was just like, girl, no. Rooney Mara, like, no. And you were like, oh, she's a good actress in other things, though.
So like I think the thing about that movie is they have an incredible cast that's completely wasted on the blandest movie where Jackie Earle Haley I think could possibly make a pretty decent Freddy Krueger with good makeup, good effects, like give him something good to do in it. They write all of the like quote unquote teenagers because they all look like they're 40 in that movie.
Oh, literally.
Like they're all like everyone be the mopiest emo kid like ever. Like seriously. The only character in cinema that's like more emo than anyone in that movie is like Zack Snyder Superman.
Technically, but yeah, to a point. And then also what's so sad about that though too is that I think at least Kyle Gallner and Thomas Dekker are actually kind of like young-ish. Everybody else I was like, oh wait a minute, like, oh,
I don't even think it's like Katie Cassidy's probably like at that point like close enough to like the age, but like she just she has like the Jesse Spano from Saved by the Bell thing going where she just looks.
You mean Arnomi Malone? You mean that
Queen?
Mm-hmm.
She looks like Jesse Spano. Like Elizabeth Berkley was like age appropriate Saved by the Bell, but she looks like someone's mom.
She kind of does.
And so like watching that remake, I was like, everyone in this movie just looks like old as a kid. And they all are so downbeat the whole movie that I'm just like, this is boring and it sucks. And it's like CGI's terrible, like everything.
Yeah.
I think I said it's maybe the worst remake for me, at least that I've seen.
It's a pretty bad one.
There's a lot to work with in that, like that.
And I have covered the Sorority Row movie. That movie is not the best. However, I think it holds at least something where it's not boring. That and Black Christmas 2006, they're not the best movies. However, they're entertaining. At least
I back 2006 Black Christmas, where it's like it's not good, but like it's a fun watch.
Right, like that is to me that Nightmare remake. No.
So where I was going with the slasher thing.
Anyway,
I think the one slasher series that like I think as a whole that still works for me is Child's Play.
Oh, completely.
Because they're all baffling and different,
yes,
but like kind of incredible, and especially like the TV show now rocks. It's so good.
Yeah, I as you're hearing this, I have now finished all the Chucky movies because they were on Peacock. A bunch of them were. So I watched a bunch of those. So I had to finish up some of the newer ones. So I am on the TV show now where I'm caught up with everything of the movies. I have to start watching the TV show more so. But yeah, it looks like it rocks. Like it looks like it is. And what I love too, and here's the thing about that is that I promise we'll get back to Ernest, but like, I love the fact that Don Mancini has had such a creative hand in that series. And the fact that he is a big old Mo, I think is even better because I'm just like, that's how you do it. Like he was able to keep his creative vision throughout all of these movies pretty much for the most part. And I think that's really hard to do in the world of horror and just movies in general when you have a franchise like that. So I commend him a lot for that. I give him a fair amount of credit for it.
It's also like he's been involved with every single one of them.
Yeah.
Where like most franchises don't have that, and like
Yeah.
at least some creative voice actually a part of all of them.
Yeah.
And that's where you get shit where you get into like the Dream Child and Dream Master of Nightmare on Elm
Yeah.
Street, where they're like making it up as they go, but in like a
Right.
bad way.
Yeah. Or you have our girl Rachel Talladay, you know, we love you, but you made that horrible Freddy's Dead movie,
Oh, it's
and
so bad.
you come from the John Waters world a little bit, which I love, but also I'm like, girl, no, that movie was not it.
Such a bummer, because like
Because she's great.
Yeah, Divine was supposed to be in Freddy's Dead,
Yeah.
and like passed away like I don't know, like the year before or something like that.
Yeah, like a few years before that. Yeah.
And instead, we get
Roseanne
Barr and Alice Cooper being transphobic.
Yeah, a little weird. Also,
neither of those actors or people hold up now.
Also, yeah, no, do not watch that comedy special that she made. Oh my god. But also, since you love 90 Day Fiance, though, are you aware of MILF Manor by any chance?
Oh yeah, I watched it.
And
it's
are you also
Lisa
aware
Wilcox.
that she is on that show? Lisa Wilcox, for those who know, obviously, but she is Alice from Nightmare 4 and 5, and she needed money. Her and her son needed money. Okay.
I like my partner and I would always joke about, because like we both like 30 Rock, and there's like a joke in it called for like a TV show in it called MILF Island.
Right.
That when MILF Manor got announced, we were like, oh my God, how is this real? And like one night we're like sitting there and we're trying to find something to watch, and they're like not necessarily paying attention. And I put it on as a joke, and we ended up watching the entire thing. And I don't know how we're going to, as a society, somehow create something that's going to be even more bottom of the barrel than that. But I know it's going to happen. But like that show is a fucking nightmare.
I bet it is. Like, oh god.
But you get halfway through and like Lisa Wilcox shows up at some point, and I'm like, why does this person look familiar?
Because she's Alice.
Yeah, and I had to look it up, and I was like, holy shit, it's Lisa Wilcox.
Oh my god. Who was also married to somebody who was a part of Boy Meets World, which is why she was in like an episode of that. That's his dad, her son's father, is Jeff Sherman, I think it is, or something. Yeah. Jeff Sherman was like a huge guy at Disney, or was a part of shit or whatever, and he was a part of Boy Meets World bringing that together, which is why she fun little fact about this, she's in an episode like physically, but then also there's an episode early on in Boy Meets World where they have Stumpy's Revenge. It's like a video that they sneak into the house or whatever, and you hear it on the TV, and it's Lisa Wilcox doing it, which I think is really funny.
Interesting.
That's cute, because like she was also in Nightmare on Elm Street, so
yeah,
like, it makes sense. Anyway, back to Ernest, I guess. But you know, but that's like the plot and whatever. I mean, you did talk about some of the standout scenes for you.
Yeah, I guess like what are some of the ones, like what's some of the stuff in it, I guess, that like worked for you or didn't work for you?
Yeah,
as somebody who watched it for the first time.
Of course, yes. Please do my job for me. It's fine, because it's all over. But we're just really chatting at this point. But no, I think like for me at least, like I see why people love the scene with the troll and Elizabeth. I actually think that scene's pretty decent.
When she like rolls over in bed or whatever.
Mm-hmm, yes, yeah. So yeah,
so like upsetting.
Like, I know, because just
to think about like you roll over and this fucking troll's in your bed, I'd be like, nope, I'm done.
Horrid. It's just like terrible. Yeah, no, there was that. I mean, I will say, I mean, like just some of the like I was saying it before we recorded, but like, you know, I love just Eartha Kitt throughout this. It's just something that fascinates me. Her with her homemade flamethrower is amazing. Love that. So good.
I love that she's kind of like takes the like, I guess what would like normally be portrayed as like the crazy cat lady kind of character, where she's just like mumbling and talking to herself the whole time,
throwing cats at people like in The Simpsons.
Yeah, like she's essentially playing that character, but like good, because she's like she's just walking around mumbling to herself, but everything she's saying and the way she's saying it is like funny.
Oh my god!
And she's just kind of like killing the role as just like the crazy witch lady in town or whatever.
Yes. Oh, and then also fun little fact too. about, so this movie is surreal as hell because we also get the idea that because back in the back times there was at least like there was at least a family of color there, right? And so like and so apparently after the troll has been vanquished and all of these kids become not wood statues anymore, you also have all of the people from the back like, you know, coming back.
Oh yeah, but
And
they're all like the same ages.
they're all the same ages, and so apparently this black family from back in the back long time ago, um when the troll first was vanquished, like apparently that is like Eartha Kitt's family, and they're just like, why are
How'd
you
you
so
get so
old?
old?
And they're like, we'll talk about it, it's fine.
I genuinely think
So she's 3,000 years old, pretty
Yes.
much. Like she's hundreds of years old.
Actually, good point. I don't think I've ever thought about it until I watched it. That like technically she should be like
She's
at
hundreds of
least a
years
couple
old,
hundred years old. But
which I love for her.
she's probably a witch.
Love.
I kind of wonder now if like maybe she was written to be revealed to have been like an actual witch that just got cut out of the movie. Because like
Yeah.
I don't think there's any sort of like any DVD that's ever been released of these. There's no audio commentaries. There's no like deleted features, and there's like nothing.
But there's not a
like,
budget.
yeah, it's just like the trailers. And it's also like a time that like they probably weren't keeping that stuff stored properly. It should be gone. Most of the people like involved with making it are like dead now or like too old to really be doing audio commentaries.
Exactly.
So like I'd be curious, like that Ernest P. Worrell Preservation Society podcast, I guess, became friends with some of the people that were involved with these. I think I've had communications with like John Cherry before he passed away, and like Bruce Arnston now, and some of the other people that are still like around.
Mm-hmm.
And they got sent a binder of all of the pitches they made for Ernest movies. Oh. Some of them are literally just like a 1-paragraph pitch. Some of them they have like full scripts for.
Huh.
And so what they started doing after they went through all of the actually filmed Ernest stuff is they started this new podcast that's like them going over all of these pitches. And a lot of them are like, I guess what they would do when they would go to Disney, they'd go to Disney with like 5 pitches, 4 of them fake movies they know that Disney was never going to greenlight, and then the movie they wanted to make.
Right.
Which is how like some of these got made. So they would like go in with like pitches where it's like, yeah, we want to do this movie where like, you know, I guess content warning, like Ernest goes to San Francisco, catches AIDS and dies. And Disney would be like, no. That's not happening. All right, well, our other pitch is like this movie where Ernest fights trolls. They're like, yeah, we'll do that one instead.
Exactly.
And so
you imagine
like,
Ernest Does Dallas. That'd be weird.
I think it was literally called like Ernest Does San Francisco, some shit like that. It was so, and they were like, we're not going to do it because it's literally like that's the 1-line pitch. So we're not going to do a full episode on that. But it's like this was a thing in this binder where it's kind of fucking baffling. And then you find out it was literally they would just make these absurd pitches to just be like, Disney's never going for this, but it's like if we have 4 insane ideas and then 1 good one that we know we can like actually make, they'll go for that good one.
They'll give this like money to do it. Like it'll be
shit,
fine.
like there's like some of them where it's just literally just Ernest in the NASCAR circuit, and it's just like okay, so what is that as a movie?
Yeah, exactly. Ernest goes scuba diving. I don't know, like who knows? That'd be fun. Like
also, there was also at some point sort of not necessarily a side tangent, but back to slash a little bit. There was a Friday the 13th NASCAR pitch at some point.
Oh my god!
Where it was just gonna be like Jason Voorhees, like I guess killing people in a NASCAR race.
I kind of love that, and also
I do too.
Yeah, I kind of love it because honestly, it's probably better than that fucking Final Destination that they gave us that had to do with the fucking racetrack or whatever. Like,
I actually have not watched any of those yet.
You okay? So like Final Destination and Final Destination 2 is cool. Final Destination 3 is pretty decent. I don't want to watch that Final Destination at the racetrack because apparently it's really bad. And I don't think I've actually seen 4 and 5, honestly. But
it's always ones I've been like, yeah, I'll watch them eventually. And then now that's always like, if they're streaming, it'll be like one site has like 1, 2, and 4 for some reason. And then like the other 3 or whatever aren't streaming anywhere. And I'm like, all right, well, they all hit somewhere actively. Maybe I'll sit down and watch them. But
they do, like, you'll be able to find some of them and all that. And I think 2 is really good. I like, and I really like 3 as well. And my ass will be in there for Final Destination 6. Me, Jazz, and Kat. We're not gonna be in the same theater, but like, no, we're gonna be like, no, take my money. I'm gonna open my
Yeah,
little purse and give it. Yes.
think they like all those movies except for 5, maybe.
Well, that makes sense because it's probably horrible, but I'm just saying, like, yes, like it makes sense where I'm just like, no, open my purse, give me my money. Like, yep, I'm gonna do it because I want to see what the fuck they're doing. This Exorcist movie that's coming out, am I gonna go see it? It looks like sort of maybe dog shit, but like, you know what? I might see it. I don't know. I don't know yet.
I hate all the Blumhouse movies. I end up
I do
watching
hate a
them.
lot of them.
I end up watching them once they hit streaming just to sort of like keep up with whatever the conversation is in like the horror community. But I don't know if I could watch a fucking David Gordon Green Exorcist movie.
See, oh, you make a good point, Nathan, because literally I'm just like, Jesse, are you really going to go out and spend your money on that movie? And maybe just let it stream somewhere, and then that'll be fine. That's okay.
Yeah, it'll go straight to Peacock like the Halloween movies did, like after like the minute it leaves theaters, probably. So,
oh, maybe that'll work.
They're rough.
Yeah, maybe that'll work out. Yeah, I'll maybe do that then. That's probably better. Yeah, I because I don't think I could do it, man. I just don't think I can. But I will go see that Final Destination.
I watched that little teaser trailer for that Exorcist movie, and like, I am not on board for a new Exorcist anything. At this point, I'm very much let this shit be in the past. We don't need to remake all this stuff.
Ellen Burstyn needs the check, apparently. I mean, I don't know.
It looks bad. It looks real bad.
It does look bad. I don't really like it. I would have been, let me tell you something too. I would have been pissed if I because I have watched The Craft Legacy and I watched Black Christmas 2019. I watched them around the same time. Because Pickens told me to. But anyway, I watched Craft Legacy and I would have been pissed because I think what happened is that movie came out and then it came to streaming, or it came to VOD at some point, and it was streaming for $20, which is what they do with the newer movies. I would have been pissed if I paid $20 to watch that movie.
Yeah. There's no way. That's like even like some of that stuff where there's like, I know people that'll go see anything horror related that comes to a theater just to like go to the movies.
Right.
And I'm like, that's too fucking expensive to go waste on like a movie I know I'm not gonna like.
Right. I mean, that was my thing too with Scream 5. I know you don't love those Scream sequels either. I know, but for me though, like the newer one, so the 5th one, I was like, what is this? Because I went and saw it and I was like, girl, what are we doing? And then I saw it again with my sister and I was like, okay, like I don't love it, but like I'm glad people got a check, I guess, and whatever. Scream 6, I will say I didn't mind it. But to me, again, like I own all the other Screams, but like I don't own those ones yet. I don't know if I'm gonna add them yet.
They're like, for me, the Scream franchise like is just kind of like, I don't know. It's like, I know what I'm getting. It's gonna be people killed off, and then it's like, I don't know, some family member that we're barely introduced to from the last movie that like was the killer is gonna be revealed as the killer of this one, and I'm like, great, I got it. Like,
every
time, every one of those movies that comes out and people like freak out about spoilers, I'm like, you know what this is gonna be. Like, you know who the killer is gonna be. It's gonna be somebody that like Jenna Ortega was introduced to at a fucking party earlier in the movie that is now revealed to be the step cousin of whoever the killer was in the previous movie. Like,
partly, I mean, like that's kind of what it is. I mean, but this is what you do. You don't go on Tuesdays because everyone goes on Tuesdays, but you go at the like Saturday matinee and you can save yourself a little bit of money. So that's all right.
I've had nothing but bad movie theater experiences since COVID started, and like it's pretty much soured me on like ever going to a movie theater.
I get it, because I did see Barbie in the theater and I loved it. It was great. And my theater was fine with that, but some of the other ones I'm like, girl, no, I don't love going to the theater either, where I'm just like, maybe at a smaller theater. I've heard this one near me is not too bad, but like it's in Hamden, but like, but yeah, I don't love to go either because I want to be a curmudgeon in my house That's what I want to do.
I get so aggravated when like cell phones are on or like someone's talking or like
yeah.
anything. So like my partner and I, like the first movie, we were like, all right, we feel like comfortable venturing out to go like try to see a movie. As we went to see
Yeah.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness,
Okay.
where someone brought their 4 or 5 year old kid who would not stop crying the whole movie. And halfway through, they just gave a cell phone and let it watch YouTube videos on full volume for the rest of the movie.
What the fuck is wrong with
To the
people?
point where I had to like yell at them until they left. And then the only other movie we've gone to see is like in New York City, they did this like
Mhm.
Dario Argento
I love.
retrospective where it ended with the North American premiere of his newest movie, Dark Glasses.
Hmm.
And I was like, all right. I was like, it's going to be like a Dario Argento crowd. It's a like the premiere of this movie. It's going to be
Right,
cool.
right, right, right.
Woman in front of us comes in drunk as fuck. Like Dario's doing this little like thing at the beginning where he's like talking in Italian and then he's got somebody translating for him and someone's like, oh, blah, 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 coming to Shudder later this year. She's like, my boyfriend has Shudder. He subscribes to that. And everyone's just like, what? Why are you talking? Who
Why are
cares?
you talking? Yeah.
And then proceeded to every music sting in the movie would like get up and dancing in her seat, rocking everywhere, kept leaning over to everyone around her, like talking to them about scenes in the movie. And I was just like, shut the fuck up. Like, no
What are you
one's seen
doing?
this movie yet. Let people watch the movie.
Yeah.
Like, you're
What are
not,
we
you're,
doing?
you're not at Rocky Horror Picture Show where this is like allowed.
Yeah. Right. No, of course, because the movie's horrible. But like, yeah, exactly. You're not at Clue where
Yeah.
you're watching yeah, like you're not doing
I
this.
was
Like,
so aggravated. And I was
no,
like, how are you coming to like the like premiere, the first people in this
Mhm.
continent watching this movie, and you're gonna be like yelling throughout the whole thing?
I don't know. People don't have no home training, Nathan. I don't understand it
No, they don't.
because
Like, I literally think the pandemic where people like
I literally, yeah.
just now the way they watch movies is like it's on in the background, they're on their phone, they're talking the whole time, and they're not actively watching it, and it's like ruined movie theater experiences
Yeah.
because
That's for me, like, yeah.
they just bring that to the movie theater now, and it's a bummer because like I love to
Yeah.
go to the movies, but it's like
Right.
nothing but bad times anymore. Like Barbie, like I feel like would be fun to see in a theater solely because it's like a big campy
Mhm.
movie, and
Yeah.
like like it's even like going to like most of the Marvel movies where it's like people will yell
Right.
out during like big scenes or whatever, and it's like I can
Right.
handle that. It's like the horror movies were like outside of people screaming during a scary moment or whatever, and it's just people
Mhm.
talking and shit. I'm like, I can't handle it anymore.
Well, because you and me are also, I'm assuming we're both similar in that we're desensitized to horror, where I don't get scared like that very
Yeah.
often. I really don't. Like, I mean, I just don't. I watched Terrifier 2 and I was like, okay. People were throwing up for this? Like, huh?
Yeah, I don't.
Uh,
I can't even get started on that.
anyway, I guess you didn't like it.
I'm not a fan, but it's also
I get
like
it.
the people were like, I don't like you said, like it's I guess maybe it is like a desensitization
Sensation.
thing where
There you
like
go.
I'm like, this is the movie you're all saying is like really gross and like super like whatever. And I'm just like, I guess. I don't know.
I
I've seen
I
worse.
guess I've seen worse. Maybe that's because you and me are just yeah. We're
Well, I'm always just like, I don't know, go watch like anything Japan was doing in like the 90s.
yeah,
Like, and it's gonna be like it's way worse than like Ichi the
yeah.
Killer is like infinitely more graphic than like
Oh,
either of the
completely.
Terrifier movies.
Yeah, or like go watch Inside. Like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
huh? Like, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to bring it back to Ernest, I guess this is Ernest like episode, I guess. But it's also just turned into us like actually meeting and getting to know one another and all that, which is lovely. But I guess if you had to like, I don't know, I guess we could wrap up a little bit on like Ernest and the episode that we have right here.
Yeah.
But I guess if anything, like, what are your rest in peace, Jerry Springer? What are your like closing thoughts on Ernest Scared Stupid? Like, what is
I
that?
think it's like it's a perfect kids Halloween movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one that like anytime like someone's like, oh, like like I have like an 8-year-old who seems like they might be kind of interested in scary movies. I'm like, Ernest Scared Stupid. Like it's a perfect like
Right.
version of a kid's horror movie where it is like for a kid, I feel like this would be genuinely kind of terrifying, while also having those like comedic moments that will work for a kid. Like I said, like the dumpster falling on his hand where he does the double take before screaming is like a perfect comedic moment. Or like the bear trap scene, the scene when he goes to buy the troll stuff and it's just like stupid expensive, and they're like, but does it come with that record of like troll hunting songs? And then like, hell yeah it does, here you go.
Yes.
Like, I think it would work really well for like on that level. And I think just as like an adult, as somebody, if you're somebody that genuinely likes sort of those things, like we said earlier, like Hocus Pocus type movie, and you haven't seen this, like you owe it to yourself. Like, it's a perfect kids horror movie. Jim Varney's great in it. The comedy is really good. It's I feel like for me, very specifically, it's like this team firing on all cylinders sort of before like the wheels fall off the car.
Agreed. Yeah, I must say that, I can echo what you said, because as somebody who had never really watched Ernest movies or didn't grow up with them, I think this is a great introduction to it. I think because it's also PG, like if your kid can watch a PG movie, like this is a great way to kind of gauge if they like it, and not be me and have watched like Friday the 13th when you were like 9 years old. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever. But yeah, no, like this has like a quality of a very well made almost $10 million TV movie. Okay. Which is fine. And that works. Yeah. It's similar to how I would say, like, obviously the Goosebumps show and like Are You Afraid of the Dark and things like that are great gateway horror for kids as well. I think this is also a great one too. And I would maybe watch some of the earlier movies. I don't know if I want to give myself Slam Dunk Ernest and Ernest Goes to Africa.
No, I would say watch Goes to Jail. And if like you can deal with like the non-horror aspect of like the Ernest stuff, then like Saves Christmas and like Goes to Camp would probably work pretty well for you.
Exactly, totally. And that's to anybody listening too, of just like, watch some of the earlier movies too if you like this, Unfortunately, this really doesn't stream anywhere officially. You can find it on YouTube though. And maybe if you really, really like it, like get a physical media of it. You probably find it for cheap for a DVD.
Oh yeah, you could find like used DVDs for like $3 for like almost all of the Ernest movies.
Like literally, if you really wanted to, I guess. Yeah, I'm sure this is, and it's funny. I think it's probably the reason I think it does stream on YouTube technically. Like you could actually rent it.
Yeah.
You can. I don't think it streams anywhere else though. And probably, I think that has to do with probably the rights and shit like that with Disney and shit.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
This and Saves Christmas are the two, and I guess Jail kind of doesn't stream for free a whole lot, but like I don't know, it's like they pop up or like they move around. Like it's kind of like if you follow like Stephen King movies, they will like all be on Stars, and then a month later they're all on Hulu, and then they're all on like whatever. And like these kind of do the same, except Saves Christmas is always on Disney Plus. Like you could probably rent it on things, but it's like always streaming on Disney Plus. But like Goes to Camp, Goes to Jail, and Scared Stupid tend to pop up here and there for free somewhere, and then will be like the other 10 months of the year are just to rent for some reason. But then everything else is just like widely available at like all times because most people don't want to watch them.
Yeah, exactly. Except people like you,
except me,
other people.
Except
you, it's fine.
All of them like 3 times a year.
Yeah. And I will say exactly. And I will also say the one on YouTube, the rip of it is not great. However, I think if you rent it and you get it, I think it's actually pretty good video quality. Like the definition of it's pretty good. So it's fun to watch with that. So yeah. I think that's everything I can think right now. But Nathan, I thank you so much for coming on my show though. This has been a long time coming, and I'm glad we were able to talk and get to know one another, and I love that for us.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So you want to tell people a little bit about your show and what you do, and plug your social medias and all that fun shit?
Yeah, like I Hope You Suffer is a podcast where like when we first started, we were like, oh, we watch bad movies, but then it kind of progressed to where we were like, yeah, but these are actually like good bad movies, and like a lot of them tend to be fun regardless of what people call them. So we just kind of say we watch the movies most people don't want to watch.
Yes.
It's my co-hosts Kitt and Katie, and we just pick a movie every week, something usually based on like a very stupid title. We do a lot of like the Sci-Fi Channel shark movies, if that's your shit. Like, I'm trying to think what we did recently. I've been such in like Nightmare on Elm Street mode that like I've completely forgotten. Let's see, when this comes out, we just did the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. We're doing Toxic Avenger.
Oh, nice.
I think we're doing a movie called Wolves versus Bloods that looks horrendous.
Oh God.
But yeah, like we just do a lot of like that dumb majority of like the straight to Tubi style movies.
Yeah.
You can find us pretty much any podcast service. We have a Patreon at patreon.com/podcast where we do like a monthly bonus episode with all three of us. Katie and I started doing like comic book movie episodes where it's like anywhere from like good ones to like the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie.
Yep.
And then I also have another podcast that's sort of every once in a while when me and my partner have time, we watch a movie called Nate and Kate Movie Club where like recently I think we did an episode on Roadhouse, or maybe we just watched it. We're
hell yeah,
in the process of maybe doing an episode on Ghost. Kind of like stuff we like. It's not like a very genre specific. We'll just do anything, just whatever comes to us. Like, oh, we're gonna watch this movie, and we just talk about it. Like we did Heat, which is an incredible movie, and then we also did like Cruel Jaws, which is like an Italian Jaws ripoff that actually steals footage from like 4 or 5 shark movies.
Yeah, it does.
And so like, yeah, that's also should be like anywhere you find podcasts. And then me personally, I'm only on Instagram and Blue Sky, and then Letterboxd at Gordon Scramsey. No longer on Twitter because it's a fucking hellscape.
Honestly, I kind of want to join you on that because I really don't use Twitter like that. And I made it for the show, but I'm just kind of like, I just want to get rid of it forever and ever.
It's worth it. It was a complete like negative on my mental health.
Yeah.
And like literally leaving it was like such a positive.
Yeah, because Instagram's way more fun. You get to make stories and shit, and it's like way more fun. Like I love Instagram more personally.
It's just like it's all
and you can
toxic.
Curate a lot better.
It's all you just kind of have to like decide what level of toxic you're willing to put up with. And Twitter, once Elon took over, became way more than I could put up with.
I curate my Instagram to where I just have a bunch of horror things on there, and then I follow people that are fun. You know, so it's all good. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show. I'd love to have you back for something else. I'm going to come on your show. I am excited to see when you guys are going to do Good Burger. I mean,
we have done
there.
Good Burger because it's on a Patreon bonus episode. So it's on, we have it. I don't know, like every once in a while, if we have a week we can't record, we'll drop like an old Patreon episode.
I think you need to drop that episode when Good Burger 2 comes out.
Might be in our regular feed. We did an episode like, because what we were doing up until like recently was our Patreon at whatever level, like the $10 level or whatever, got to vote on like the theme for a triple feature.
Right.
And one of them got voted on it. It was Kenan Thompson. So we picked 3 Kenan Thompson movies.
Was the Heavyweights one of them? And
I think it was Heavyweights, Good Burger, and then I picked Master of Disguise, the fucking Dana Carvey movie, which is horrible.
Garbage.
So I don't know if that ever got like released as a regular episode or not, though. I'll have to look. Next time we have to drop one. I'll throw that one out there.
I'm just saying because Good Burger 2 is going to come out on Paramount Plus, and bitch,
I know at least Katie and I will probably watch and do an episode on that at some point.
Hell yeah, because that is probably going to be dumpster fire, and I'm excited for it.
I don't know. I kind of have high hopes because I think Kenan and Kel are both like legitimately funny. So I'm interested to see what that's like. As like I still think it's however many years later.
It's been literally like, oh Jesus Christ, 25 years, at least 26, I think, since that's come out. So like I think it'll still kind of be a dumpster fire, but it'll be a fun dumpster fire, though.
Yeah.
I think so, if anything.
Yeah, hopefully.
But thanks so much for coming on, and
thanks for having me.
Of course, thank you so much. As always, if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can do so via email at cultcinemacircle@gmail.com in case you want to give any movie or episode recommendations, give feedback on the show, or if you'd like to just say, hey, I'm open to all of it. If you'd like to follow the show on social media, you can do so on Instagram and Instagram threads at Cult Cinema Circle. I tend to post what I'll be covering for the next week on there, post stories, things like that. On X, I'm at Cult Cinecircle. On there, I don't really post a whole lot, but if you want to follow the show, it's there for you to follow. And then on Letterboxd, I'm at Jesse, Jesse, Kremp, Kremp, all one word. On there, I log little movie reviews, I'll log what I'm watching, and then it's also a nice way to kind of see what I might be covering on the show in the future. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast on your podcatcher of choice, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm pretty much on all of them. Be sure to leave 5 stars and a 1 to 2 sentence review about the show so we can grow the audience and then just spread the love all around. Be sure to tune in next week to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast, where I'll be covering 2001's 13 Ghosts. A state-of-the-art remake of the classic William Castle horror film about a family that inherits a spectacular old house from an eccentric uncle. There's just one problem. The house seems to have a dangerous agenda all its own. Trapped in their new home by strangely shifting walls, the family encounters powerful and vengeful entities that threaten to annihilate anyone in their path. As always, thank you for taking the time to listen to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast, and remember, eat miak and die. Take care. Bye.